All right, let's dive into something fascinating. We're talking about that place where ancient wisdom, like acupuncture, bumps right into cutting-edge modern science. For thousands of years, we've heard about these energy pathways in the body, right? Well, now scientists are asking a really powerful question.
What if those ancient maps were describing something physically real, something science is just now, finally, able to see? It's a huge question, and today we're going to follow a global detective story, a research effort that's hunting for the physical proof, and what they're finding might just redraw the map of the human body as we know it. So before we jump into the really mind-blowing new stuff, let's start with what's already settled. We gotta build this on solid ground, right? And the solid ground is this. Mainstream science absolutely agrees that acupuncture has real, measurable effects. It just works.
And we're not talking about small studies here. We're talking about heavy hitters like Yale and MIT. They've put this to the test. Yale, for instance, proved that acupuncture literally tells your body to release its own natural painkillers, these things called endogenous opioids. And MIT showed that when that needle goes in, a real, measurable signal zips up to the brain. So you can throw that whole "it's just a placebo" idea right out the window. But, and this is a huge but, what they've done is validate the effect. They've proven that it works, but they haven't yet signed off on the why, or the ancient maps practitioners have been using for centuries.
Okay, so if the effect is real, and it is, then what the heck is going on inside our bodies to make it happen? What's the physical system behind it? Now, this is where the story gets really interesting, because a whole group of pioneering researchers, especially in China, think they've cracked the code. And the answer, they say, has been hiding in plain sight all along, in our connective tissue.
In fact, they've built a whole new field of study around it called fasciology. The big idea here is that fascia, that super thin, almost spiderweb-like stuff that surrounds every single muscle, organ, and bone in your body, it's not just useless packing material. No way. They're proposing that it's the body's internet, the actual physical macro hardware for the entire Meridian network.
And this quote from Professor Lin Yuan really nails it. He says, look, think of the body as having two main systems. You've got the functional system, your organs, the things that do stuff, but then you have this supporting, storing system made of connective tissue that holds it all together and, more importantly, connects it all. It's basically an active management system. This is a complete, fundamental rethink of how our bodies are put together.
And what's amazing is this isn't just one guy in a lab. It is a huge, coordinated effort across China. You've got Southern Medical University using these incredible virtual Chinese human models to map the whole fascia network. Then you have the China Academy figuring out how this network talks to our nerves and organs. And get this, Shanghai University is zooming in at the microscopic level, finding that immune cells and charged particles, basically the electricity, actually gather at these specific acupoints. They're attacking this from every angle, from the whole body right down to the individual cell.
Okay, so let's peel back another layer of this onion. If the fascia is the interstate highway system, what are the actual roads? What are the fiber optic cables running through it? Well, to answer that, we have to look at a part of our anatomy that was literally lost to science and then found again.
It's called the vascular system, or PVS for short. And the theory is, this is a third circulatory system in our bodies. It's not blood, it's not lymph, it's something totally new. Or, well, newly rediscovered. These are tiny, tiny little thread-like channels that wind their way through the fascia, and researchers believe these are the physical pipes, the micro-hardware that carry the body's subtle energy.
And the backstory here is just wild. It's a true lost and found story of science. A North Korean scientist actually discovered this system back in the 1960s, but nobody could replicate his work, so it just disappeared. It was basically forgotten. Then, fast forward to the early 2000s, a team in South Korea, using all our modern tech, finally managed to replicate the findings and prove, with hard evidence, that this system is real.
And check this out. It's not just happening in Asia anymore. The research has gone global. In the United States, a highly respected physiologist at Auburn University is using high-powered microscopes to replicate the Korean findings, which is a huge deal. It proves this isn't some fringe Asian science. And at the University of Louisville, they're looking at something that could change medicine forever. They're investigating if cancer cells are hijacking these PVS highways to spread through the body. Talk about mainstream credibility.
Okay, let's just pause for a second. We've got the hardware, right? The big macro hardware is the fascia network, and the tiny micro hardware is the PVS channels running through it. But what's the signal? What's the actual energy? What's the software running on this biological internet? Well, for that, we have to switch gears from anatomy to straight-up physics.
And this brings us to Stanford University and the work of Professor Emeritus Dr. William Tiller. He's not looking at tissue, he's not looking for channels. His field is called psychoenergetic science, and he's tackling a much bigger question. How can our consciousness, our intention, actually have an effect on the physical world?
So Dr. Tiller's experiments are pretty mind-bending. He's come up with a physics-based model for how this could actually work. It starts with simple, focused human intention, what the ancient texts might call yi. His theory is that this focused thought creates a kind of coherent energy signal. This signal is able to align the spin of subatomic particles, creating something called a torsion field. And this field, in turn, can actually change physical stuff. We're talking measurable changes in the pH of water, just from intention. It's a potential scientific framework for how qi, or subtle energy, could be a real physical force. So let's pull all these threads together. You've got the clinical proof that it works. You've got the macro hardware of the fascia. You've got the micro hardware of the PVS channels. And you have a physics model for the software, for the energy itself. What you're left with isn't just one flimsy theory. It's this incredible convergence of evidence from all these top-tier institutions all over the world.
I mean, look at this. It's like a scientific dream team. You've got Seoul National and Auburn in the US nailing down the micro hardware, the actual PVS tubes. You've got Southern Medical in China and even Harvard mapping the macro hardware, the fascia network. Then you have Stanford stepping in with the physics for the software, the energy, and the whole thing is anchored by Yale and MIT, who are saying, yup, we can measure the clinical effect. Every single one is bringing a crucial piece to the same giant puzzle.
So you really have it all. You've got Seoul and Auburn proving the physical channels exist. You have Harvard and Southern Medical University showing us the larger anatomical network they live inside of. And then you have Stanford physicists giving us a theory for the very energy that flows through them. It's a complete picture, from the undeniable effect on a patient all the way down to the physics of consciousness itself.
And that just leaves us with this one massive thought to chew on. As all of these different fields of science, anatomy, neurology, physics start to converge, are we just figuring out how an ancient therapy works, or are we actually redefining the map of the human body itself? It's a pretty profound question to consider. Thanks for digging into it with me.
Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit. See you in the next video.